Looks like we are a go. Right off the bat, looks like we do have a shuffled start screen. Yeah, just let us know where we need to sync up, sir, and we'll get her taken care of. I've got JSR at 37 seconds. And I believe DigShake started just maybe a second before him overall. So. Yep. So it looks like we do not have shuffled overworld enemies either, but we do have shuffled start screen. We got both of them heading towards the start cave to see if we're going to find a wooden sword. And we do find a wooden sword. However, no extra candles, so both of them will need to be finding that ever elusive candle shop. And it also looks like we have got shuffled caves, but we do not have shuffled secret values. So far, a good mix of different flag sets. Also appears at first glance that we have got 0 HP enemies on board yet again. Two bomb drops for JSR. That'll help him out when he's making his way around the overworld. Okay, I'm a few seconds ahead, so I'll pause. So keep counting that down for me. Okay, we're good. So both players just making their way around the overworld here, trying to find something of use. JSR getting more bombs when he doesn't need them. And DigShake getting his first drop, so that'll help them clear out some of these areas without doing backtracking. It's always a bit frustrating having to backtrack to either the northeast or the coast area because you cannot manage to find a bomb drop, so it's very nice to get that out of the way early. Oh, and DigShake finding a candle shop down in the very southwest portion. It doesn't look like shops have been shuffled. So we should be able to find more than one candle shop around Hyrule. Also interesting to note that both of these players have taken a pretty large deviation from each other's routes. We've got DigShake heading over towards the graveyard, and we've got JSR making his way over towards the coast. Yes, PM, it does indeed look like we have got 0 HP enemies. Also, from first glance, it appears that we do have a first quest overworld, as we have hit the majority of those special locations that generally only appear there. Still the possibility of a mixed, but it does look like first quest at glance. Looks like we've got community or mixed hints. As we have got TK421 And a feat of strength will lead to the bow over on JSR side. Meanwhile, DigShake does find level 2 after taking a death in the grave. And JSR finds level 3 over on the coast. First glance would indicate that dungeon palettes are not shuffled, as well as start rooms, so we will be able to tell which dungeons are which 2 different ways. And as confirmed on DigShake's side, by picking up a map, it does in fact have shapes this time around.
And there we go, we have a raft, ladies and gentlemen.
We have a raft.
Jam Evil here,
level 3.
filling in for RC Drone until he gets his thing sorted out. I don't know what exactly is going on, but we are rolling on anyway, so...
This could be interesting, Jam, because if we end up with the blue boomerang in level 2, that would be a very large indicator that dungeon drops are not shuffled, or dungeon items, rather, and that is a pretty big deal.
I hear some beautiful typing coming from RC Drone side, which means I guess he's somewhat back? No? Yes? Oh, no, just talk when you feel like talking, man. It's easy. There's no pressure here. Look, I'm doing it too. I'm live with you guys. It's not a big deal.
Right, commentary. DigShake picking up the Triforce in level 2. Meanwhile, JSR had picked up the Triforce in level 3 not too long ago as well, having gotten both the item and the Triforce. He will be done with that dungeon. Yeah,
it's interesting to note that level 2's location is really close to the start location for the seed, and DigShake was able to find that. So JSR will most likely, if he up A's at any point in time or takes a death on the overworld, will eventually find that level and the raft himself.
Well, actually, I don't know that we know the item in level 2. The raft was in 3, and I don't think I saw DigShake pick up the item in 2.
You are correct, sir.
Which is an interesting choice on his part with 0 HP enemies. He could have been possibly key blocked, however. And looking on DigShake's side, it does look like we do have shuffled Armos, and it looks like the Armos item has also been shuffled elsewhere.
Now, with that Armos being shuffled, and the Power Bracelet is another flag option for the item being shuffled. Are those flags connected in any way?
Looking at the... I've been keeping tallies on the flags. It does seem that way, that having item shuffles are pretty heavily connected, as most of those are skewed seemingly 80% that it will be shuffled over the course. It's only a small flag, sample size of 11, but yes, it does seem like they are connected.
We found level 6 at vanilla level 6. Randomly, not random this time.
We've had that happen a couple of times now. 6 likes to be in its normal spot.
Six or its inverse counterpart, level 9. We've seen it there. I think, is that twice now this tournament, or once it was at that?
I think twice, or it's been close. It's been in that general area. It just likes to congregate right there.
Graveyard is a good spot for a fatal dungeon, as in level 9, yes.
JSR picking himself up a gigantic secret.
How much was that gigantic secret, Adaginos?
The normal 100, but still, it's nice to find. This being... And Manhandla threatens with the raft, finding the hint that he doesn't need. He does have that nice one, that the Power Bracelet is required for a dungeon, so that is an important key thing that JSR has found out that DigShake has not, via buying hints, so that could play in eventually.
Absolutely, Adaginos. The Power Bracelet on First Quest Overworld only has 4 locations. He's already checked one of them, so it's really really comes down to 3 possible locations, so he knows where a dungeon is based off of just that information alone.
Did JSR pick up the power bracelet?
That power bracelet spot was open, wasn't it? Or was that just a possibility of take any roads? Did I miss that?
JSR definitely has the power bracelet
There we
coming
go.
from chat, so that must have been the Armos item and just been shuffled to a different Armos. And they both have it according to chat, so my bad for missing that. My
Pew
apologies.
pew! Pew pew! We got it!
Which is super important again because there is a level somewhere,
Yeah.
and it obviously means, again, as JSR has found, that any roads are not shuffled. So we do have one any road at the 30 secret east of level 2, but he did not check the others, I believe.
JSR just found level 5. I want to say 9. We're talking about 9. I really want to say level 9. Unfortunately, it's level 5, and it is at level 2 vanilla location. So that's...
Dungeons just switching places.
It is an identity crisis of dungeons today.
Wow.
that,
That level 6, that's a nice map to find, but that is a daunting looking level.
that is a mighty fine cactus, if I do say so myself.
The real problem you run into with these kind of levels is that either one, JSR2 doesn't have bombs, and 2, he has only 1 key, so you can run into a whole slew of key doors and bomb spots, and if you don't have them, you can't progress. And JSR using 50 rupees in level 5 as we've got a life or money room.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has 4 hearts, so in this situation, it's preferable that he spends the money instead of getting rid of that heart, because he doesn't know what the white sword item is yet. He doesn't know if he's going to want magic sword, and just having hearts in general are more important than money at this point, especially with First Quest Overworld. There's 3 100 secrets on the Overworld, so there's plenty of opportunity to regain his rupee count.
Yeah, totally agree. And DigShake lucking out, finding that level 6 Triforce. I don't know if he had the compass or not, but either way, getting in, getting out quickly is always nice in a dungeon that size and shapes.
So
I absolutely do not fault him for not looking for the item.
let's see if RC Drone's there. I wanted to ask him a question. RC
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going, man? With that size level 6 and that split, how would you attack that dungeon?
So, if I find the Triforce that early, I'm probably not going to look for the item, and I'll probably just come back later. Because what you don't want to do is full clear a dungeon and have it, behind some sort of boss you can't kill, or, something that, or have the item be completely unimportant. So, usually the overall time it takes to get back isn't that bad, especially if you end up getting the recorder anyway, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I fully agree. There's plenty of dungeons left for these runners to check. There's no reason to be diving that deep into that, especially that configuration. That configuration is just nasty looking, so definitely not worth the time. We do have a level 7 find on DigShake's side. And it does look like the bomb upgrade men have been at least shuffled for their values. So RC, when you're playing shapes, which dungeons are the ones that you're actually going to take the time, even if you get a Triforce early, to go back in and try to find an item in?
So it'll depend. For any dungeon, if I've mostly cleared the dungeon, I'll go ahead and look for the item anyway, even if it's a big dungeon, because I've already seen all the rooms, so if you already sunk the cost. But the way shapes work is that the dungeon sizes go from smallest to biggest from 1 through 6, and then again from 7 to 8. So 7 is probably the wild card, because it can be really small or it can be really large, just because it's just one of 2 different dungeon sizes. So I'll go after 1, 2, 3, and 7 if I'm digging in order, and then 6 will usually end up being the biggest, 6 and 8. So I'll save those for last.
Yeah, that's about the general rule that I follow as well. Meanwhile, DigShake, we found out that we have got 0 HP enemies as Gleeok went down in 2 hits, and it turns out Gleeok was indeed guarding the Triforce, so DigShake now getting out of 6 and 7 extremely quickly. Provided that those dungeons don't have anything important, this could end up being a big deal. Meanwhile, JSR still fighting through level 5. I'm not sure if he's just looking for the Triforce still. I seem so, and trying to find the item at the meantime, which could be right here. And indeed, it is the Recorder, which possibly blocks a spot, but definitely not as important to have as if it were a second quest overworld.
Yeah, have we verified that this is in fact first quest?
Yes, I believe so. I have not seen any indication otherwise. And DigShake finding that white sword up on Death Mountain. While not super important so far, you never know if you might need it for Ganon.
Are bosses also guaranteed to be 0 HP?
They are not. It is a separate flag from your enemies, but it turns out that in this particular flag set, it ends up that they are 0 as well. So, White Sword will only be useful if Ganon is required, and Ganon is not set to 0 hit points. And yes, looking at chat, and again, the point that I brought up earlier, it does in fact look like we have got our first seed where items and dungeons are not shuffled, which means that should find everything in its original location. White Sword was in its cave, Power Bracelet was under the Power Bracelet spot, and we've got Recorder in 5 and Raft in 3. So right now, I would be boogieing trying to find level 4 so we can find that ladder. Because I don't know about you, RC, but I know that in Shapes, I generally get stuck somewhere not having a ladder because of the way that the dungeons can be configured.
Yeah, ladder can be pretty important. I don't know if DigShake actually runs the vanilla game. I know JSR has a very good vanilla time. So...
Yeah, DigShake has ran Z1 before in the past. He's got a pretty good time. Not as good as JSR's, but definitely has. And hopefully both of these players recognize that these drops are not shuffled. And to answer Isolated 999's question, yes, there is in fact a flag for shuffling dungeon items, which out of the 12 seeds that we've had so far, this is the first one that appears to have not had that happen. And recognizing that particular flag set can be a big deal because that means you can skip level 6, 7, you can skip 2, you can skip 8 unless you really want that any key, which there seems to be some key issues in this flag so far, but it's a big deal. You can skip looking for items in some of those dungeons. Which, that being the case there, RC, it means that the fact that DigShake grabbed the Triforce in 6 and 7 and ran is actually a fantastic thing.
Yeah, it is.
And DigShake also buying a candle, finding the letter shop there that has a candle as well, which the players must do unless they get the red candle out of level 7, will allow him to explore the rest of the overworld. Meanwhile, JSR still searching for this elusive Triforce in level 5 and not having a lot of luck with that. It may possibly be ladder blocked. Looks like our any roads are pretty much not useful so far. We have got one at the 30 secret east of 2, one at the Armos right next to it. The other goes to the burn spot east of the desert shop, and the last is the spot east of level 5. So all of them up in the northeast, meaning that you don't have a quick travel option to, say, the Deadwoods or Death Mountain for these players.
I didn't catch in level 5. Was the Recorder easy to get, though?
Recorder didn't require anything super difficult. I think it was about halfway through the dungeon, but there wasn't any particularly dangerous rooms, especially with 0 HP. It was just a diamond staircase. DigShake getting a sail not to save the princess hint. meaning that the raft is not required.
Are we able to rule out deceptive hints yet, though?
Yes, because we have had it's actually mixed hints, because JSR bought some hints earlier and ended up getting a community hint, which means that we've got mixed hints. So anything that says what would normally be like a helpful hint will indeed be true.
I see. That's interesting. I didn't know that that the presence of a community hint automatically meant that it was not deceptive.
And DigShake does find level 5 as well. Meanwhile, we got JSR in level 1. I did not catch where that was. It looks like Jammy's got that placed right by the Desert Ferry. So that seems that will be our Power Bracelet required dungeon.
Level 5's actually in the level 2 spot.
Yeah, 5 should be at the level 2 location. You were close. So if our predictions are correct, which this is a segmented one, but the bow should in fact be in the staircase in level 1. It's also very interesting to note that we've had pretty much every single one be segmented, and we've had, I believe, 2 now that have been 3 segment level 1s, which is extremely odd.
Yeah, that's not common at all. It'll be nice when JSR gets the bow out of here to not have to worry about that in 9. If he does come across the Princess and Ganon is actually required.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those items where you're kind of like, well, it's important, but I don't know if I need it. There are times where if I've got probably have either 1 or 2 dungeons left, or if I know where it is, I might go into 9 without it, just on that chance that Ganon's not required. Just depends on where that bow might be.
Yeah.
But definitely a good feeling to have that, and hopefully when he picks that up, and I don't know what's going through his mind, but hopefully again it will click that, hey, these items are in their normal dungeons. I don't have to check 6, 7, or 8. I don't need to do anything in level 2, and silvers are definitely going to be in 9.
He's getting all kinds of key doors, and he just ran out of keys right now. That's looking like it's becoming an issue.
Well, it is, but he does find a map, so that's helpful. Hopefully it's not a key door to get to where that bow is at. He's only got 2 rooms left. And meanwhile, Dig making his way through level 5. Has not found a recorder yet, but he also is having issues with bombs, and does actually have 3 keys this time, but is definitely having issues with bombs.
JSR does pick up the Triforce. He has not checked the last room, I don't believe, though.
Yeah, he's got the room north of the Triforce and the one on the bottom on the far west. It looks like both were key doors, so he's going to have to make his way back in there to get the bow. Again, being one of those rough key seeds where there are a lot of key doors and not a lot of keys makes it a little bit difficult. Again, JSR hasn't found level 2 yet either, which is a big key dungeon, whereas DigShake has been in there, which I believe is where he has picked up some of his extra keys. But hopefully we will get some keys on his side so we can start exploring these dungeons a little bit farther.
Yeah, that could end up costing him a lot of time later on. We'll just have to see.
And as we speak about it, level 2 for JSR right there at the start screen. Also took the time to buy some bombs, which is probably a good decision, as both of these players have had pretty big issues getting bombs to drop. I haven't noticed yet if whether or not dropped groups are shuffled. It doesn't seem like it, but there is always the chance that, in fact, it does look like drop groups are shuffled, because I think I just saw a bomb drop from the rope there. But the percentage chance can be shuffled between 30 and 70% on drops as well, which is something we can't really quantify as a viewer, but it can play a part in if these guys are getting drops or not.
So do shuffle drops work per enemy, or are they per like item group?
Yeah, it is per enemy. We have seen one seed where the bomb droppers we found were Stalfos, Tektite, like orange Tektites, blue land molas, and just anything can be shuffled to any group. So it is per boss, per enemy, and sometimes it can be extremely difficult to deal with. And we do have a recorder get over on DigShake's side, so hopefully it's starting to click on his side that, hey, we've got items in their normal dungeons. Though I think that's the first dungeon item that he's found, so maybe that's not something that's in play for him yet. And level 8 being right there by a level 1 just south, and level 9 being right next to it, we have actually got 3 dungeons in a row that have got 2 items each. It's kind of an odd deal to have happen.
So DigShake is sort of trapped in level 5. I'm not exactly sure what his plan is.
Yeah, he's nearly full cleared the dungeon, and I know that you can reach the Actually, you know what? JSR did not get the Triforce. I believe the Triforce here is, in fact, ladder blocked. And good job on DigShake's part getting out of that room. It could actually just be key blocked, I suppose, as I believe JSR had some key issues in 5 as well. Loudgoat making a very good point that level 4 is the only dungeon yet to be found, and in such a seed, when this is the dungeon you really want to find for the ladder, yeah, the game knows. JSR finding yet another staircase here in level 8, so it looks like we might have a multi-segment level 8, which is not uncommon. Meanwhile, DigShake down to, looks like 2 rooms to explore in level 5 to find out where that Triforce is. So, RC, if you're playing this seed, what is going through your head right now?
Well, if I'm getting stuffed by ladder blocks left and right, and I know the ladder, or I have a pretty good idea that the ladder isn't for, I would probably not be digging these dungeons. Yeah, that's that's basically what I'd probably be looking around the overworld right now for level 4.
JSR having not a good time with man, I can't talk. The Dodongos this time around. Again, just exacerbating the problem of bomb issues, where you can't even get bombs from the Dodongos because they just don't want to let it happen. Ruble, all enemies are 0 HP, even better than 1. So if these players were to pick up a boomerang, as long as in the vanilla game that enemy is weak to being stunned by a boomerang or could normally be killed by a boomerang, it would kill the enemies as well. So you could kill Ropes, you could kill Gorilla, you could kill Lyclex, you could kill Vire, all with a boomerang with the 0 HP steed that we have right now. And also, yes, 0 HP bosses. Thank you for pointing that out again, JLo. So JSR does pick up the Triforce in level 8, so getting in and getting out fairly quickly. And I did miss the room that DigShake was just in, but it does again appear that we have got some sort of block from getting to the Triforce. There are 2 rooms up there in level 5. He does have 1 room left to check here with a key. which has the Triforce. So apparently JSR was key blocked the first time that he was in level 5. Yeah, well, they both did spend a lot of time in level 5, and in fact, JSR has to go back, which is going to cost him quite a bit of time, but needing all the Triforces, it's got to find it. And also to note that JSR needs to go back into level 1 as well, so he needs to revisit 2 dungeons, one for the bow, possibly if it's needed, and also level 5 for the Triforce, so this is an extremely close race so far.
JSR also apparently has the level 8 Triforce already, so he won't be able to get the magic key for free. He'll have to go and dig if he wants to get that out, if that ends up becoming a problem for him.
Yeah, very good point. Again, you've got to go back into level 8 to find the magic key with these flag sets, and with it being, you know, alongside 6, the worst dungeon usually in shapes, it's multi-segmented, he doesn't have a map. It's not something that you want to spend the time to dig, but keys have been a major issue for him so far. So it's one of those toss-ups of, well, I've got 3 keys right now, and I've still got a lot of dungeons left, and who knows, once we get towards the end, by level 9, if he's only got a couple of keys, that could be an option. DigShake getting that level 3 Triforce also, and having, I believe, figured out the fact that items are in their normal spots, and that the raft is not required, will not be digging for that item in level 3. Still looking for that ever-elusive level 4. I don't think either player has put extensive time into the northwest port of Death Mountain, so it could be up there. Level 4, having an identity crisis, along with half the dungeon is in this game so far, happens to be under Recorder Lake, meaning that it is indeed required.
Yeah, fortunately both runners have the recorder, so it shouldn't be an issue for either of them.
Also to note, this level 4 is also segmented, and it appears that dungeon enemy groups are not shuffled in this seed either. So we see Wizrobes here in level 4 that does not generally have Wizrobes, but since this is the enemy group that is available, it will actually put them in there despite them not being in vanilla. And shoutouts to Dataplet, who called it right before JSR went in to vanilla level 7 and it having level 4. And it is important to note that while both players do have the recorder, how long will it take DigShake to take the time to go over there to check Recorder Lake? It's one spot, and I don't know that he's been over to Deadwoods. I think he's already done a little bit of exploration over there, so he may not go back over there anytime soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. Usually when you explore the overworld, you want to go to areas where there are a good cluster of open spots to check, just to get more bang for your buck for your exploration.
And I'm pretty positive that DigShake has picked up on the dungeon drops, as he has passed up the Triforce in level 1 and seems to be exploring for that bow. Which, if having looked at this room here, this is one of the rooms that JSR did not make it into, which means that the bow is actually going to be down here and on the left, which DigShake should find behind this key door. And indeed is a reverse C, and there is our bow. Yeah, this is indeed a very crazy level 4, as pointed out by chat. Again, we've had some pretty crazy segments so far in this tournament, and this definitely ranks up there. JSR finding that ever elusive ladder finally. This will put him in a heavy go mode, as all he's got left is, I believe he's found every dungeon other than level 7, so he's still got to track that down, but we know that the Triforce was pretty quick in that dungeon, as long as you take the correct route and just kill things. So for him, it's pretty much go mode, because the only other thing he needs to do is backtrack to 1 for the bow, and he can ignore every other item in the game.
That was pretty good of him to even get into the diamond staircase there with the room full of wizrobes, but that is a common situation in the vanilla run, that he needs to do a reverse block clip to get into the diamond staircase, and he didn't have any issues with that.
Yeah, them vanilla skills translating to Randomizer, it's pretty cool how both just either playing vanilla or playing Randomizer can help translate skills to improve your overall ability in either or.
Oh, definitely.
So JSR making his way back into level 5. I'm pretty sure he knows where the Triforce is here, knowing, again, that he did not have keys when he was in here the first time, so costing him precious seconds having to backtrack due to key issues. Also, picking up a bomb upgrade kind of gives that, that really kind of wasn't worth it face, but having an extra 3 bombs is not necessarily a bad thing, as I'm not even sure that we're going to find out whether or not this is a boomstick seed, because I don't know that either of these players are going to, I don't know that we found a large shield yet anywhere, but, you know, I believe everybody other than JSR knows where all the levels are, so they're just going to basically hightail it to those specific locations and be done. Chat pointing out the large shield was in the southwest corner. Thank you for that. So no boomstick. And again, who's going to dig level 6 for the wand anyways? So bomb upgrade actually might be a good thing with shapes, as level 9 can be pretty ridiculous as far as needing bomb walls and those sort of things. And so it's good to have the extra bombs.
I'll point out, though, that Shapes 9 usually tends to be a lot friendlier than vanilla level 9. You can usually walk right up to Ganon or Zelda without too much hassle, whereas in vanilla 9, there's a much higher chance that you'll need a magical staircase.
Indeed. And Triforce for JSR in level 5. Yeah, that's been my experience as well, is that, you know, with the way that vanilla level 9 is set up, it's just, you're guaranteed to have to usually take at least 1 staircase to get somewhere important. And shapes, you know, it can just be that you can bomb or walk everywhere that you need to go.
Yeah, that's been my experience too.
JSR making his way up towards vanilla level 9. So once he explores here and then heads west a little bit more, he will find, and south and west a little bit more, he will find level 7, which I believe is the last level that he needs to find. He may not have found 6 yet. That was DigShake, I believe. So he still needs, I believe, those 2 dungeons, but they're pretty close together. Meanwhile, DigShake digging through level 8, trying to figure out where that Triforce is. Running into the other segment staircase there. Probably not what he is looking for. Both of these guys probably would like to find the magical key. DigShake sitting on 6 is better than, you know, having just 3 or 4, but 6 is still a low number considering the amount of key doors that can be in level 9. Interesting to note, the JSR headed to the grave before going to the rest of Death Mountain, so he should locate a level 6 before finding level 7.
Yeah, he took an up and A when he was up in Spectacle Rock, so that he wouldn't have to backtrack to get back to the rest of Death Mountain.
Checking the grave first to bypass that nasty Lionel screen, which can be, depending on what point of the game you're in and what's at that location, like the sword that we had in, I believe, one of the seeds the other night, I believe it was this, or just last night, it was the Zebgedni Bent Glass Tube seed. You got these nasty Lionels here, you've got 3 hearts, and your wood sword appears here. It can be a little bit daunting. So a lot of times players will skip that screen, and sometimes it could be an important item.
JSR buying a potion out of the graveyard, which is a pretty good buy, especially when you don't have a ring.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Even with 0 HP enemies, you don't know if Ganon's required, and even with experienced players, Ganon can be on a really weird pattern, which can cause some issues.
Yeah, you can also get funneled in by Wizrobes into tight corners too, and just have to eat beams.
Yes, our ever-famous shoot room with 6 blue Wizrobes and shutter doors, our great friend. So JSR in the right location. I believe if he goes north, the Triforce is right there for level 6, but opts to go back in the staircase, meaning that he is going to spend a substantial more time in this dungeon than DigShake did.
Yeah, it's always just, a 50-50 crapshoot as to whether or not you should be taking a staircase, or, there's nothing really telling you whether or not you should take a staircase. You either get lucky or you don't get lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the functions of Randomizer is, there's your skill in your attacking, there's your routing choices, but there is, did I get lucky finding the correct path? DigShake, being a bro, picking up the book, shout outs to Lizzie. Pretty sure DigShake, knowing that he's not going to be picking up the wand, why not? And JSR finding the other staircase, it is important to note that when you're playing in shapes, that every dungeon that normally has a staircase will still have that normal staircase. But for every additional segment, there will be another set of connected staircases. So in this case, level 6 has got 4 staircases that are stairs and 1 that is the item. And hopefully, fortunately for JSR, that is not a required meat block, but that's got to be weighing in the back of his mind right now.
That's a tricky Landmola room that he got locked into. He handled it pretty well. There is a way to cheese the Landmolas from the right side, but obviously if you get shuttered in from there, you can't stand in the doorway. So it's good on him to survive that.
Absolutely. I hate blue Landmola rooms. Doesn't matter what the configuration. If you've got a block that you can clip into, it's generally all right. But, it's just... a lot of times you'll enter from the left side of the room and you'll just get bopped right away. And if it's a shutter door or a bomb wall, you got to give up on the room unless it's something you have to do, because it's generally impossible without a ring or something.
Yeah, they're just too fast.
JSR does find the wand, but I'm pretty sure that's not the item he's looking for. I imagine he'll go back out here, grab this key, and probably up A? No, he'll keep going. Meanwhile, DigShake on the elusive hunt for level 4, which he should hopefully find here pretty quick as he is making his way towards the Dead Woods, having picked up the Triforce in every other dungeon, and luckily a ladder not required for any of those. That is a pretty large oddity in Shapes RC to not need a ladder for any dungeon.
And hopefully for his sake, Zelda's not sitting in a Chevy room.
Indeed, well, I'd imagine that once he finds level 4, he's going to be like, well, I should probably get the ladder. But, you know, it's fortunately not cost him any time whatsoever. He doesn't have to backtrack to any dungeons to go get a Triforce. Meanwhile, you know, JSR had to go back to level 5 to get the Triforce there. Due to a key block, he's got to go back to level 1 if he wants to get the bow, and has unfortunately spent a much larger amount of time in level 6 than DigShake did. So this has allowed DigShake to actually take a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, JSR's definitely got the worst end of the luck between the two racers.
I mean, hopefully he runs into a compass here pretty quick, but at this point, I think he's got all of maybe 6 rooms left to explore in level 6. And there it is, and that'll show him where it is. Kind of gives an eye roll, like, I was just there, dang it, why didn't I go up into that room? DigShake saying this is not the staircase that I was looking for, but will end up actually going back and using it anyways once he discovers there really isn't any other route. Yes, and as Crazy Coffee just pointed out in chat, JSR still does need to locate level 7 as well. Did just pick up the Triforce in 6, but he's got to go and find 7 on Death Mountain. I'm pretty sure that's the only place that he hasn't been on the map, so he should find it quickly. But, you know, knowing that level 7 is your last dungeon, it's a little bit daunting as it can be trolly at times. Fortunately for him, I believe the Triforce was pretty quick right underneath the Gliok. And then RC, you know, at this point, so let me get your opinion on this. And again, I think I would go to level 9, but knowing that I need to go back and get the bow in 1, and I've got the recorder, so I could probably go pretty quick. But do you just make the play for 9, or do you go back to level 1 and try to get the bow?
I mean, it's hard to say. I've played a few of these seeds. It seems like Zelda's Ganon is required more often than not. I don't know if that's just small sample size or if that's actually true. But if it is true, then I probably would go back for the bow. If it actually is 50-50, I might just go straight into 9. Because I might find out that I need the bow before I find the silvers, or something that ends up not wasting me time by scoping out 9. But maybe it's not required and I find Zelda and game's over, right? So I think going to 9 is probably the better play.
Yeah, so far it has been 6 forced Ganons and 5 non-forced Ganons, so it's been close to 50-50, but again, it's got to weigh in your mind, do I need that bow, don't I need it? And if you do, you got to leave level 9, which when 0 HP isn't such a big deal because resetting rooms isn't as bad, but it's still one of those things of, you know, if I leave, I have to waste the time that I've gone in exploring. You know, I could have just gotten Ganon now, and you know, I've got to reset my rooms and all this other thing, and then you're leaving the level, which kind of gets you out of the 9 jive. You know, usually when I'm in 9, I kind of get in the groove and I remember where everything's at, but if I have to leave, a lot of that leaves my mind.
That's true, and in JSR's case, he has a ton of keys, and he knows which 2 key doors he needs to check for the bow. So in his case, I would, you know, almost certainly go grab the bow.
It could be 1-2 to the left, isolated. It totally depends on where whistles go. But in this case, whistling to level 1, even in vanilla, is not that far away from whistling to level 1 in this particular seed, so it wouldn't cost him a whole lot of time. I do not believe we know which whistle flag is on yet, Amazing Toaster. I haven't seen either player use the recorder outside of Recorder Lake. JSR finding that compass, which is fantastic. That means he will find that Triforce super quick and will be able to make his way towards level 9. And it looks like he is going to find that before DigShake finds the ladder. He is definitely digging for that ladder. And unfortunately, this gel being stuck on the T side is not very kind for him. I think DigShake tried to play a little bit of come to me, and it's just not working for him.
Well, I think he's trying to buffer clip into the water so that he can reach with the candle, but I don't think that being in the doorway is letting him pull his sword out.
I don't believe so either. I think you have to be able to free move because the door will block you from being able to do that. Meanwhile, JSR making his way back to level 1 to pick up that bow, so making that decision. Hopefully he picks the correct door, saving himself a key. It looks like that'll be the first door that he comes on, so should be able to enter level 9 with 6 keys. Not what you really want, but also not technically a bad spot. There are key drops available in level 9, so he should be okay in theory. And poor DigShake just not having any luck whatsoever. My thought is that, and I think Yuno's pointed out in chat, it's undoable. So at this point, you need to reset your spawns. And DigShake just saying, I don't want a ladder. Or maybe he's just going to go get Beam Sword and come back. It's pretty unfortunate for him. This is a pretty big time loss. And meanwhile, JSR has made his way into level 9. And a good point that Solid Wife just pointed out, the boomerang was passed up by both players, and in a 0 HP seed, it's never a bad thing to pick that up, especially if you don't have Wander arrows, because you never know when you might need to have a ranged weapon. It looks like JSR has discovered right off the bat that Zelda is in fact blocked behind a door, which means we need to find the silver arrows and the pig in level 9. If there's a time to find Zelda, that is definitely it, don't you think, RC?
Yeah. I believe both these guys have the bow already, so going back out and grabbing that won't be an issue. It might change how they route in level 9, as opposed to combing things coarsely for Ganon. They might want to be more thorough so they don't have to return back to corners and sides of the dungeon to find the potential silver arrow room.
Yeah, I would definitely be taking every staircase that I happen upon, just so I can eliminate those options. It's never fun, and again, with 0 HP, it's not that big of a deal, but when you have regular HP or shuffled HP, it is never fun to clear out a Wizard room just to find a staircase. So if you can find an easy room to find and take a stairs in, it's always worth the effort on the off chance that it's going to eliminate one of those difficult rooms for you.
Yeah, I like to employ that strategy myself.
DigShake does manage to get through the tea room, fortunately for him, so he should find the ladder here. I believe it is going to be the very last room that he explores, but we'll find that and then should be able to make his way towards level 9. And it seems like JSR has indeed found Ganon in one of the rooms adjacent to where he just was, and gets the hint that silver lies in the northeast of Skull. So, having the location or the general location of both items needed, he should be on his way towards clearing this up fairly quickly. Meanwhile, DigShake does get his ladder, will up A, and it's interesting to note that he has 12 hearts, which gives him a 80% chance to pick up that magical sword, which we know is down at the push block by normal start. However, I don't think he's going to take the time to go check that, knowing that he has already got the white sword. I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, it's not too far out of the way, and you never know if Ganon is going to have 0 HP or not. You don't have a ring. What would your thoughts be in that case, RC?
I'm sorry. What was the situation?
Well, Magical Sword is down at the push block by start, so it's only a few screens out of the way of level 9, and DigShake now has 12 hearts, which means he has basically an 80% chance to pick up the Magical Sword. Now, you don't know if Ganon's required, and you don't know if he's got 0 hit points, but on the off chance that he is on normal HP, and you don't have a ring, would you take the time to go down there and check for the Magical Sword, or do you just go in with the white sword?
I probably wouldn't, especially having white sword. And if you get the stun lock, you get it. And then, you know, that's great. I mean, I guess you could. There is a greater chance of dying, but I just wouldn't.
And DigShake is in level 9 himself, making use of his bombs and being rewarded finally on the 3rd. I think JSR is in the exact same room.
Yes, that is the case. JSR did bomb quite a bit around the northeast area and was not able to make any progress. So now he's going to try to come at it from a different direction.
I mean, it's interesting to note that these guys are in the same area, and it could in fact run into the silvers at the same time. However, JSR having the knowledge of where Ganon is, and I do not know if DigShake discovered Zelda's location yet, so advantage still to JSR, but it is interesting to note that they could get silvers at the same time. And, definitely lots of Patras guarding lots of shutter doors. Fortunately, both runners keeping high bomb count here. Always nice to have, and having a staircase pop up here is also nice because the only other option that we see is a key door. And obviously both these players have got a very limited number of keys, so being able to save that is awesome. And DigShake finding Ganon's room through that same staircase that JSR just died coming out of. So Ganon has been located for DigShake. It actually knows the correct route to get to Ganon, which seems to be only through said staircase.
Looks like DigShake gets trapped. It would have been interesting if he was able to bomb out and find the silver arrows that way, but he did get trapped and he had up an A.
Yeah, and we'll discover that Zelda is right here, so he's going to know the location of Ganon and the location of Zelda. Still advantage JSR in having the hint of where the silver arrows are actually located. And also interesting of note is the fact that we've confirmed that the shuffles for Zelda and Ganon are off, so you know, she could or may not be in her room. There may be another way to get into her from the top as well.
JSR now also knows the path to Ganon. He'll find out he'll be up and in quite shortly.
Yeah, and neither of them taking a swing to see what the HP shuffle might be, but it is important to note that JSR only has a wood sword. So that could end up being a difficult fight depending on the Ganon spawn. Fortunately, coming in from the bottom and not the left or right. When you come in from the left or right, it's generally a difficult fight no matter what, unless you can get that first hit in for a stun lock, just due to the extra time that you have to walk on the screen and the weird angles that are required to get to Ganon.
JSR also did die before he was able to check all the walls, so he might actually go back in there to see if Ganon's blocking the silver arrow, which would be a pretty big time waste if he ended up actually doing that.
Yeah, totally agree. And, you know, we've had seeds like that before where the only way to the silver arrows was through Ganon's room. It is a possibility. It is unfortunate when it happens, because a lot of times that's not generally the thing that people, you know, would first do is check those walls. But I do believe that he is making that decision, it looks like. Which, again, I don't blame him. I think it's the good play, because you're trying to get to the northeast, and if you didn't get all those walls checked, then I totally agree.
Hopefully he's able to bomb these walls before Ganon, and takes another death in that area trying to get the silver arrows.
Yeah, and is not happy about that at all. He is extremely upset with himself. So this is anybody's race, folks. It comes down to who finds those silvers first. And again, I don't think DigShake has gotten the hint, but finds a red ring, which just makes this whole dungeon infinitely easier for him.
Yeah, so he does have a lot more defense. JSR does have the hint advantage, which is pretty huge. So yeah, it's anyone's race.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's where the heck do I go? Because these guys have taken pretty much every staircase that they found. It seems like JSR has found a new one through a bomb hole. But they've taken every stairs that they have found, and as such, not been able to get to any part of the northern portion of this 9 so far.
And this is one room south of the northeast corner, even if that was a staircase, which it ends up not being. And he still cannot make progress with bombs.
And DigShake back over in the same Ganon area once again, making sure to double check all of these walls to make sure that we have not missed anything, and unfortunately is having no luck. So we've got to find, it seems to be a bomb wall somewhere that leads to a section of the dungeon neither of these players have been, to give them access to the northern part of 9. And again, while we were talking before about how magical staircases tend to be more prevalent in, regular level 9, in this particular case, you need a magical staircase to get to Ganon, but at least when you're playing normal vanilla level 9, you understand the shape and you know where you can bomb to try to find a wall. In their case, there could be holes riddled throughout the middle of the dungeon, and they may not know that because they don't have a map, and you're just wasting your bombs, which are, in this case, is a very precious resource. DigShake down to 3 and still trying to figure out where it is that he needs to go.
Yeah, the tiny little bomb upgrade that JSR picked up could actually end up making a huge difference.
And DigShake getting the hint that silvers lie in northeast of Skull, but in the same area that JSR has been already. And we know that there is no way to get to where the silvers are unless we had a mishapped bomb wall or one bomb wall was missed somehow.
I know there's 2 rooms on JSR's map that he was not able to get into. For all we know, it could be a magical staircase that will lead to the silver arrow in those 2 rooms.
Yeah, I mean, or they could be blank walls too. I mean, that's the problem that we don't know with shapes is, do I need to find a magical staircase? Is it on the right-hand side of the dungeon? So much can qualify as northeast, and not having a map to understand where the blank rooms are is sometimes pretty frustrating.
Yeah, but with these one-hit kill enemies, like I might want to plow through those just to see if I might be able to get a map. So I can explore the northeast a little better.
I agree. I would definitely be trying to find a map in this case. When you're trying to find silvers, luckily for both of these guys, bomb drops have been plentiful, but I know at least in my case, that never happens for me. I run out of bombs all the time and spend so much time trying to get some more back so I can check the rest of these rooms. You know, that becomes a factor at points where you're like, okay, well now I'm in trouble. I don't have bombs, and I have to go search for those bombs and then backtrack to where I was already just to check a wall that doesn't actually have anything. And JSR does find the map, confirming that those two rooms are in fact blanks. And along with that whole column on the right, so if it's in northeast of Skull, then there are very few rooms that are available, and both should be right there by Zelda.
Yeah, JSR's not going in that direction though. I wonder if he has actually full checked that perimeter. And if he's just looking for a staircase now.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering as well. It looks like it might be a magical staircase requirement to get to those few rooms. They're left in the center, right around Zelda. It looks like the north, the west, and the northwest of Zelda have yet to be explored, and those would be the three available rooms to have the silver arrows.
But DigShake just found the silver arrows. I'm not sure which room he entered from, but he should be wrapping this up. I believe he's found Zelda, hasn't he?
Yes, he does know the location of Zelda and the route to Ganon, so unfortunately for JSR, it seems like he might have missed a bomb wall to get to the silver arrows. I was also watching JSR, so I did not quite see how DigShake found the silver arrow. So if somebody in chat could fill us in, that would be awesome. But my assumption is that it was probably, or actually, look in here, JSR just found a staircase that goes right to the same area. And it looks like this is going to be the silver arrows right here. So he has located them as well. But unfortunately, DigShake is already on his way to Ganon and has got an easier time of it because of a red ring and a white sword. Looks like that is not the silver arrows, but if he should bomb either south here in this room, he should be able to find it. Just knowing from the hint, he would have to know that it has to be south of here.
And that's exactly what he does.
A little bit of a heartbreaker for JSR, making it into 9 first, but DigShake locating those silver arrows before he does, and getting to Ganon, who does not have 0 HP, which means it will require 15 hits from JSR to take him down with no red ring. DigShake looking very pleased with himself as he puts his fist in the air with a little bit of a pump and makes his way towards Zelda. There's the door, running right on in. Looks like we will have a dot done from DigShake with a time of 1:08:23. Congratulations to DigShake, taking first place. JSR right behind him on his heels, getting ready to head towards Ganon. Very close race. Well, I'm sure a little bit disappointing on JSR's side. Put up a fantastic run, was in a lead for the majority of it on top of that. And, you know, just good on him for the way that he ran. He really didn't make too many mistakes. He just got unlucky in finding the staircase here in level 9 to find silver arrows, which you and I both know, RC, that happens.
Yeah, that happens. JSR also got trolled in a lot of earlier dungeons that he was forced to revisit. But he rolled with it and made it very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, if you take into account the time that he had to go back into level 5 to get the Triforce and the time he took to go back to level 1, yeah, this might be within seconds. Ganon on that kind of a weird spawn pattern where he's on the far, far left. But hopefully JSR will get the stun lock down here and won't take a death. So far doing a pretty good job of bobbing and weaving through it. Gets the final stun lock for the last 6 hits and does manage to make it through. So good job on his part. That's a pretty rough Ganon spawn pattern, and having it in a dark room, not really giving you tiles to take a reference from. Is a fantastic job on his part.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing how he was able to basically visualize Ganon's pattern and take him down without taking the driver.
Hey,
Hello, DigShake.
how's it going, guys?
Pretty good. We've actually got JSR finishing up right now with a time
Oh, wow.
of 1:10:37, and RC and I were talking. It seems like there were 2 big things that happened. One, he had to go back to 5 to get the Triforce, and 1 to get the bow because he didn't have keys. And 2, he just did not find that staircase for the silver arrows as quickly as you did, which just tends to happen in level 9.
It was kind of a fun seed there. My favorite part of the seed was definitely that wonderful room with the gels in level 4.
Oh man, tell us about that.
Nice. That was just so frustrating. I didn't have any projectiles. I don't think that I was trying to clip onto the water, but I don't think you actually can. I'd be interested to know if that's even possible. I don't think it is, but
Yudo's confirmed for us in chat that it is not possible to do that.
yeah, I didn't think that it was, but I tried it anyway, so that was fun. And then I went and got the ferry and took a bop on the way back. So, I didn't think that a room full of gels was going to be the most frustrating room of this match. But
So then, question for you: would you recommend in the 0 HP steed that if you walk by a boomerang that you pick it up?
did I walk by a boomerang? I don't think that I did I?
Level
But-
1, I believe, had it sitting on the ground. You may not have made it that far up though, but
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I'm pretty allergic to picking up boomerangs in general, but sort of projectile would be good. Preferably the wand, I suppose. If you,
yeah, that is another good point. Is that you cleared level 6 and 7 crazy fast, and unfortunately JSR did a full clear of level 6.
on my part because I just basically, it was so early in the game, and even with 0 HP enemies, I was like, I'm in level 7 to find some stupid item right now. So I just decided to step on the gas, and fortunately the items weren't shuffled. As soon as I saw that, I was like, jackpot.
Yeah. When did that click for you?
So-
Because I believe the first item that you picked up out of the dungeon was the recorder.
That's right, yeah, and level 5, so I was already like 3 or 4 Triforces in at that point, but fortunately it was 2, 6, and 7, so those are all levels where the items are inconsequential if item shuffle is not on, so just worked out nicely that way, I guess. Got a little lucky.
And we've also got JSR here in the chat. Good run, JSR. There were a couple
Seems like it was a good
where
race,
you,
though.
struggled just a little bit, but for the most part, you had the
Yeah, it
lead
was a
throughout
good
this
race.
entire
GG,
race.
by the way, man.
And I really
Hey, what's up,
came down
JSR?
to,
GG, man.
Dude,
It kind of came
congrats
down
on
to
the
5
win.
silver arrows and
And
9.
I just want to, before anything else, I just want to thank you guys for the restream and the commentary, and Dig for the race, and everybody who's putting on the tournament. This has been a blast so far.
I see JSR talking, but I don't hear
Did you
anything.
struggle in that gel room in level 4 like I did, JSR, or did you have a boomerang or something?
No, I think I had beam swords when I got in there. I mean, I don't know if RC and Agent are still here or not, but no. And you did what you had to do. Congrats on the win, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Sure. Hey.
Yeah, I can hear you, Jamie.
Yeah, I hear you now. Apparently I got disconnected for a second there. I apologize.
Mistakes, dude. I made so many mistakes. I dug 6 for God knows how long, and then that was one of the worst level 9s I think I've ever had in a 0 HP seed. I mean, silvers, and I was hell-bent on bombing that room with the Wizrobes and not using that potion, and that ended up being a pretty bad decision to make. It cost me probably a good 5 minutes, and then it ended up not being worth the silver. So, I mean, I made a ton of little mistakes like that throughout the run. It was just a bad run on my part.
Fantastic Ganon fight, though, considering the room and the pattern.
Thanks.
Who was first into 9? Did JSR beat me into 9?
JSR was in 9 for quite a bit. I believe he got into 9 about the time you were playing tag with the gel.
Yeah, it sounds like he got cut off again. About the time I was playing tag with, I don't know, the gels probably. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. I figured I was probably behind going into 9. I would have been surprised to hear that I went into 9 first because I didn't feel like I was particularly speedy getting there.
There he is. But yeah, that's definitely something I got to work on if I want to go further in this tournament. I got to start getting through 9 faster. That was brutal. That was a really long, really bad 9, and that seems to be a habit I have. I get into 9 quick, and then when silvers are at 9 or when Ganon is required, I end up full clear. I mean, it was brutal. But
I mean, and some of it comes down to the luck that you ended up having too, in that, you know, you had to go back into 5, you had to go back into 1, and you didn't find the quick Triforce in level 6.
And also, when I was in 8, I found the Triforce, and I knew that the items were vanilla, and I was having so many troubles with keys that I figured, oh, okay, I'll dig 8 for a minute and see if I can't find the all key, and that ended up wasting time.
I went looking for that too, actually. I still would like to know where the heck that thing was.
Yeah, I never found it. I gave up after I got low on bombs, and I was running out of keys, so I just said the heck with it and took the Triforce. I was like, you know, sometimes if you spend too long digging for an item that you don't need to beat the game, things happen. I mean, going back into 1 to get the bow was brutal. 9. I died like 5 times in 9 in a 0 HP seed. That's just is not how you win races.
Yeah.
Also, you guys just had the very first seed that we've had so far, and it's pretty rare to not have item shuffle at all.
Over that, obviously, but
Yeah, I caught on to it early enough, but not getting the bow out of 1. I'm glad I went back for it because I almost gambled that, you know, 50-50 shot that Zelda's. I was on the verge of going into 9, and that would have been a much larger win for Dig had I done that. So at least on that, I'm glad I decided to go back in. But congrats on the win. You did a great job, and to you guys, 8gen, RC, I appreciate it. You guys jammed me for the restream, and I look forward to my next race. And thanks a lot, you guys, and I can't wait for the next race. And good luck in your next match, Dig.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, well played by you both. Again, it was a fantastic race, so good luck to both of you in the next round, and look forward to casting one of you guys again.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, man.